What's going on, guys? I'm Simple Simon. This is my mess of a comic room, and this is my new series I'm starting called One Beer, Three Comics. So being the first episode, I want to give a little bit of context to how this all came about. So I'm not really a beer guy. Well, I like beer, I drink beer, but I'm not a beer guy in the sense that I can't taste a beer and be like, oh, it's very fruity, it's very nutty, it's very woody. I'm not that guy. Just give me some lager and I'll be on my way. Every time I'm in a craft beer shop, I get lost looking at beers, and then you get these cult-like craft beer people who come up and want to talk beer with you, and I don't know how to do that. But recently, I started going to a pub after work with some friends called Forager's Drop, and they have a range of craft beers on tap, and I've fallen in love with sour beers. So most of the beers I'll be drinking on the show will mostly be sours. To begin with anyway, who knows how deep into the craft beer world I will get from doing this. But basically the idea will be every episode I'm going to be drinking a new beer and showing you 3 random comics. Let's do this. Alright, so how this is going to work is I'm going to show you 3 random comic books. The first one I'll show you when I introduce you the beer. The second comic I'll show you while I'm tasting the beer. And then the third comic book I'll show you, I guess, once I've had the beer and I give you somewhat of a taste review. Hopefully I'll fine tune this over the course of doing more episodes, but let's give it a crack. So the first comic book I'm going to show you is Deadpool's Secret Wars issue 2. Now this is the variant cover, which also happens to be the first ever appearance of Gwenpool. Now it's definitely her first cover appearance, but I feel like it's known as her first cameo. Her first, I think, full appearance is noted as Howard the Duck issue 1, which is really weird because to me, even though you know, she's not in the story, that's definitely a full appearance of her. And I think there's a bit of a story behind this where this cover was made just to, as a gimmick almost, as a gag, you know, like a girl version of Deadpool. And I believe it went so well and got so much praise, they ended up making her into a character. Now, I could be making that story up, so if I'm wrong and you know the real story, let me know in the comments. But I think I read something along those lines. So that is the first Gwenpool. I bought this very early on in my collecting days because Gwenpool was a character that I really enjoyed in my early comic book reading days. Now today's beer is called Double Take from One Drop Brewery Company. This is the Double Blueberry Imperial Sour. Now the reason I chose this beer was because I actually already have another beer ready for episode 2 of this, but this was recommended to me by the shop guy there. So, you know, he approached me, did the whole, oh, can I help you find a beer? They love asking you if they can help you find a beer. And I'm like, sours! I already knew where the sours were because he told me last time. So, yeah, he told me that these guys have been getting a lot of praise, and it's meant to be a very good beer. This can cost me $20. Back in my day, when I first started drinking beer, it was $20 for a slab. So $20 for beer is crazy, so I'm obviously not going to be doing this show too often, but I'll try to do one maybe once every week or 2. Anyway, so we'll see what it looks like out of the can. Today's glass is brought to you by Captain Saro. This is her Powerpuff Girls glass. It's the only glass I had big enough at home to fit a beer that big. Hopefully it'll fit. I might have to get my own beer glass if I'm going to keep doing this show. Not that there's anything wrong with Powerpuff Girls. I know the Grey Man loves Powerpuff Girls and he's definitely a beer guy. Alright, so here we go. I'm excited about this. I always do this before I open the can. Have a bit of a sniff, see if it's sniff worthy. Definitely smells nice. Okay, so here's the pour. Oh man, look at that color. Oh, look at that. Fits in that cup perfectly. Look at the color of that. Can you really call this a beer? Is it really a beer? Anyway, so again, Double Take is the beer. Now I'll show you the second comic. So the second comic book is actually something a little bit different. You might not have seen this. This is Super Spider-Man TV comic. It's magazine sized, and I believe it's from the UK. Now it happens to actually be a birthday book for me, but let me have a taste of this beer and then I'll tell you the story about this book. All right. Cheers. Oh, that's sour. That's very nice. Oh man. Oh, it's very good. Holy shit. It's 10.1% alcohol. I guess you can kind of justify $20 if it's 10.1%. All right. So the story behind this comic book is a lot of people say that they collect their birthday books, and it's been debated on what a birthday book really is. I know some people just say they'll collect books from the year that they were born, but most people will be like comic books from the month they were born, and then some people will be like the comic books the week that you were born, right? So this comic book now, the actual original book, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I do have it. It's the one that's got this same cover with Fool Killer on it. I'll have the actual book come up somewhere here. The reason I bought this book, and this didn't cost me much, it cost me more to ship the book than what the book cost me itself. Excuse me. There'll probably be a bit of that with this show. So people say that they collect books from the month that they were born or the week that they were born. This comic book actually has my date of birth written right there. March 31st, 1982. It's funny because a few years ago, I would never have told you my age. It actually has my date of birth on the book cover. So that is the reason I bought that book. So it's actually very similar to some of you guys who watch my channel might have seen me show some of the Australian reprints of DC Marvel books where they're all black and white, released by things like Murray Publishing, Planet Comics and things like that. It's very similar, but like the UK version. Oh, yeah. Beer guy. Oh man, it's sour. It's good, I like it. Alright, so something else I'm going to do as part of this series, I would like to shout out a comic book channel every episode as well. First channel I'm going to shout out in the inaugural One Beer 3 Comics is my boy Dan Piercy, who's definitely a beer guy. If you don't know Dan Piercy, he hasn't really done a lot of videos recently. I think he's on a fitness journey at the moment, but he used to basically show his new comic book day books like I do, but he'd actually always drink a beer every week on that when he'd show his book. So that's kind of almost like an inspiration of, you know, how I started this. I didn't watch that and be like, oh, I'm going to do this. I just thought of it off the top of my head and I was like, this is something Dan Piercy would do. So Dan Piercy is my first shout out. Great guy, very funny character. So if you're not subscribed to Dan, check out his channel. Like I said, he hasn't been doing a lot of content recently, but go back and check out his hauls. He's a funny guy, and he loves a good old beer. Yay. Alright, so I'm drinking this beer pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty good. Alright, so I guess I'll show you the last comic book before I finish off this drink. I had to go with one of my, I wouldn't say one of my favorite artists, but just an artist I really respect and like. More of a classic artist that I guess more traditional comic book collectors would like. It's a Dave Stevens cover, and it is a Bettie Page Bondage cover. This was a book I was after for quite some time, and I finally got my hands on it. I believe it was one of the books I bought and got sent to my mate Bubs Comics, and he sent it out to me. It's funny because since then I've actually picked up a second copy of this book, and I got it for very cheap, the second copy. Yeah, for those who know me and know the channel, you'll know that I do really like Dave Stevens, and of course, I collect bondage covers. Ooh, I drank that pretty quick. That was a great beer. Like I said, I've been really into the sours. So this was a blueberry flavor. So far, at the pub that I went to, which have them on tap as well, which is amazing, they had I think it was like a raspberry sour, a sherbet sour, and a grapefruit sour. And the grapefruit sour was probably the best one I'd had. This is up there. I definitely rate this beer very highly as far as sours go. That was definitely a very good recommendation from the beer guy at the shops. It's called Double Take, if you want to take note, from One Drop Brewery Company. This was the Double Blueberry Imperial Sour, and it was $20 for a can, so there you go. And that is the first episode of One Beer, Three Comics. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Are you beer guys? Let me know some knowledge. I guess maybe you guys can recommend some beers to me over time, but there's a lot of sours at this bottle shop just down the road where I'm going to probably go through a lot of those. I already have another beer in the fridge waiting for the next episode. I probably won't film that tonight because I'm feeling pretty good right now. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 comics. Hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, until next time, I'm Simple Simon. Tell your friends and keep it simple. What I should do is show you what happens after the episode, because one beer fucked me up.